Who among us does not see God in the unconditional love of our parents, in the miracle of childbirth, or in the love we feel for our own families? Much of my spiritual growth and most of the important messages and revelations I've received from God have come through family experiences and interactions. Chapter 6 is entitled God Revealed in Our Family Relationships. In it, I've highlighted poignant stories of family experiences that generated unforgettable and lasting joy. Experiences that were embraced by God and infused with His love. No family experience touched me more deeply than the one I tell in a story in chapter 6 entitled Johnny's Yard. As I mentioned in other stories of the book, Sue and I adopted 3 daughters, 2 Korean orphans, Heidi and Dina, and 1 Caucasian special needs child, Denise. Denise was not severely disabled, but she had been labeled a failure to thrive infant. Her birth mother had not properly fed her during her first 18 months of life, and as a result, Denise had remained at her birth weight for most of that period. That neglect caused a number of issues, including eating disorders, speech problems, and a mental maturity that was well below her chronological age. The most challenging issue to deal with during Denise's childhood and adolescence was her education. After consultation with middle school officials and psychologists, it became clear that an optimal solution would be to find a private boarding school that might better meet her needs. Sue and I really didn't like the idea of sending Denise away, but after much prayer and consideration, we concluded that a suitable private school would be in her best interest. One of my New York Life colleagues, Pat Colleton, told Sue and me about Riverview, a unique and well-known school that had been attended by his special needs son, Johnny. The school seemed perfect for Denise, and we immediately felt God's hand was in this fortuitous discussion. In the course of those discussions with the Colletons, we also learned of Johnny's tragic drowning death at their home in Kansas City. Johnny loved his years at Riverview, and the Colletons had donated funds in memory of him to establish a small park on the Riverview campus. It was named Johnny's Yard. After researching a number of schools, we arranged to visit Riverview with Denise. We were very impressed with the school, its facilities, and most importantly with its headmaster, Rick Lavoie, and his wife, Janet. And Denise surprised us. She never reacted well to change, but she loved what she saw at Riverview. And at the end of that very day, she declared, "I want to go to this school." Sue and I were amazed. How thrilling that she would respond in that way. Her words seemed to be a gift from God, a gift that began during our conversations with Pat Colleton. That fall, Denise enrolled at Riverview, and over the next few years, she thrived in that environment. There were many highlights and emotional experiences related to Denise's years at Riverview, but none were more memorable than her graduation ceremony. For Riverview students, this was perhaps the biggest day of their lives. Despite a relatively small graduating class, the audience that summer day numbered several hundred. Our entire family came, and I sat in the center of a row that was occupied almost exclusively by Sieverts. We burst with pride as Denise walked up to receive her diploma with a broad smile amid the cheers of her classmates. Up and down our row, the Sieverts were unanimously fighting back tears of joy. Following the award of diplomas, Rick Lavoie got up to introduce the winners of a few special awards. And when he got to the Good Citizenship Award, he explained that it had been established in memory of Johnny Colleton and was being presented to the student who best exemplified Johnny's spirit of friendship and caring for his fellow classmates. He then paused and said, "Fred Sievert is in the audience today." Well, I was very surprised, and all my family members stared at me with equal surprise. Fred is a friend and colleague of Johnny's father, Pat Colleton, continued Rick. And on almost every visit to campus, Fred sits in Johnny's yard, calls his friend Pat to tell him how well maintained the yard is and how beautiful it looks. Rick was right about that. I had done exactly what he described, but to my knowledge, Pat was the only one who knew about those calls. Rick continued, "Today's a special day, for today Fred can leave this ceremony, go to Johnny's yard, call his friend Pat, and tell Pat that his daughter Denise has been awarded the Johnny Colladon Good Citizenship Award." Wow, what a dramatic and moving way to present that award to Denise. I could barely focus through my tears as Denise marched up to the stage to the enthusiastic applause of all her classmates and their families. And that afternoon I did go to Johnny's yard to call Pat. We both cried as I told him about this incredibly moving experience. Through God's grace, Johnny's death provided a means by which the Colladons would find a way to dramatically touch other lives, and obviously on this day to impact Sue, me, Denise, and our family in a very special way. Denise's Riverview experience is a story of triumph over adversity for someone who deeply believes and embraces the love of the Lord. Chapter 6 of my book tells several other stories in which God was revealed in my family relationships.